headlines this summer when it was reported that he wasn't happy with the Blazers and wanted the team to make changes. That started the trade speculation, but Lillard said that he didn't request a trade and wanted to stay in Portland. Cut to last night in Philly, where Ben Simmons has still not played, and Dame heard those cheers. Take a listen.
Chance going up here at the center.
Kendrick Perkins joining us now. Big Perk, always good to see you. And gentlemen, they did make a change at the coaching position, obviously bringing in Chauncey Billups. The Blazers are not off to the best start at 3-4. Dame said after the game he's 10 toes in Rip City. But Stephen A., should he want to dip a toe in the city of brotherly love?
You know, me personally, I would tell you the Knicks personally, because number one, let me be very, very clear. Let me be very, very clear. I would tell you the Knicks. Number one, because I happen to know that if Damian Lillard were to ever depart from Portland, that's where his number one choice would be. Not Brooklyn, but the city, where KD should be, where KD and Harden should be, okay? Not Brooklyn, New York, okay? New York City, all right? And that's exactly what Damian Lillard would want to do if he were not in Portland. But he's committed to Portland. He's committed to giving Chauncey Billups a chance to show what he's made of as a coach. And even though they're struggling early, it's primarily because Damian Lillard is struggling early. I wouldn't sniff at Philly, because I think he'd be the perfect complement to what Doc Rivers wants to do. I think he'd be a perfect complement to Joel Embiid, and he's got the heart and guts or whatever. Ignore these struggles. Damian Lillard is shooting less than 35% from the field. He's shooting around 23% from three-point range. Ladies and gentlemen, this man has been in the league entirely too long. He's a marksman extraordinaire. He's a closer. He is a superstar in this game. He's just going through some bad shooting woes at this particular moment in time. I assure you, it will not last. And if I were to sit up there and tell you, again, when we think about the culture that's being built in New York City, KP, when we think about the culture, okay, it's about the culture, all right? When you think about that, right, listen to what Damian Lillard said last night, post-game, when he was addressing the media about his struggles. He said, listen, man, this builds character. He said, it's about rising from these. He said, I look at this as a challenge. You embrace this and all of that other stuff. Philadelphia, he basically said exactly what Philadelphia wanted to hear from Ben Simmons, but never did. That's why Damian Lillard is their type of guy. But he would still be better in New York because the Mecca, the culture, the city, the whole nine.
Okay. It's always back to him.
It's more suitable for Damian Lillard.
Kendrick.
You know what? I knew Stephen A. was going to jump on that side of things. And Molly, I just got a question. Why every time the New Yorkers say New York, they say Newark? You know, they get over-exaggerated like he's doing right now.
You want me to say it like you would say it?
Look,
you want me to say it like you would say it? New York. Is that better? Is that better?
Stephen A., look, Dame is at the point of his career, right, where he wants to do what? He wants to win the championship. What can he win the championship at right now if he was to get traded or, say, force his way out of Portland? It would be Philly. You know why? And I'm not knocking the culture of the New York Knicks. All I'm telling you is that Dame Lillard and Joel Embiid is a match made in heaven. And then you have to think about what Philadelphia would have to give up to actually get Dame. They would have to give up probably Ben Simmons, who's not playing anyway. And then they have other assets would actually be able to help Portland, and Philly will be able to keep a lot of pieces so that they still can contend for a title. If he get traded to New York, then you have to give up a big piece like a Julius Randle and some others. And now you're not actually competing for a title, but you're just actually competing to stay in the playoff hunt. That's why I would encourage Dame to go to Philly and not New York, to the Knicks.
The man ain't even answered the question. He just went straight to New York. The man didn't even answer the question about the 76ers. Yes, he should want to go to Philly. And I'm in line with Perk when it comes to this is about win now. Like Dame has been a part of a building and a rebuilding and trying to figure out what the Portland Trailblazers were going to do. Obviously, he spoke highly for Chauncey to get the job and felt like something would manifest there. But if he's talking about winning a championship, the 76ers are ripe, especially for what he does and the numbers he will put up continually throughout the course of a season. I look at this situation for Dame like you look at the situation when KD left and went to Golden State. The time is now, bro. Like, so if you identifying teams and you thinking about where you should go, if you happen to not truly be 10 toes down in Rip City, you need to go somewhere where you add a championship and not add a part of a rebuild or something that somebody is trying to do.
I want to move on to the Celtics. Other than that, I want to say I wouldn't rule out him winning in New York. I just want to throw that out. But we got to move on to the Celtics. We got to move on to the Celtics, Molly. I wouldn't rule it out. Go ahead.
I can't take you anywhere.
Go ahead, Molly.
I try to teach you. Sounds like there's some trouble brewing in Beantown. The Celtics off to their worst start at home in franchise history after a loss to the Chicago Bulls last night. They're 2-5 overall, last place in the Atlantic Division. And now these comments from Marcus Smart.
I would just like to play basketball. You know, every team knows we're trying to go to Jason and Jalen. And every team is programmed and studied to stop Jason and Jalen. And I think everybody's scouting report is make those guys try to pass the ball. They don't want to pass the ball. And that's something that they're going to learn.
Big Perk, you want to chip in Boston. Let's just air it all out, why don't you? Are you worried about the Celtics?
Yeah, I am. And Marcus Smart has lost his damn mind. You know, it's certain things that you know as a player that you can't come out and do in the interview or come out and say in the interview. And those are one of the things. You cannot attack your two franchise guys in the media saying that they need to pass the ball. Not only are you attacking them, you're attacking the first-year head coach in Ime Udoka, who's just starting to get his feet into the sand a little bit and trying to figure things out. You don't need outside distractions. You don't need turmoil inside the locker room. It's a reason why they didn't let Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown speak after the game last night, because they went up after Marcus Smart. And here it is. I hear Marcus Smart going up there talking about, you know, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum need to pass the ball. He should be talking about defense. Because you know what? DeMar DeRozan had 37 last night on 75% shooting. You know what, Stephen A. and Swagoo and Molly? I played with a lot of Hall of Famers. I played with some great players. And in the fourth quarter, we had a rule on the team. We go to the guys that get paid the big bucks. Y'all take us home. And on the Celtics, that's Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Period. I don't care if they go 0 for 20. Period. And you don't break the locker room code by calling them guys out in the public.
Perk, theoretically, I get you. I totally agree with you. But Marcus Smart has never done this before. And he's been their teammates for years. So I get what you're saying. And on the surface, I think you're absolutely right. And that's why I wanted Molly to go to you first, because I know you know this stuff inside out in Boston, you know, and you were calling games with them last year. They were interviewing you pregame, postgame, if I remember correctly, last year, okay? What I'm saying to you is this. What he said about Jalen and Jason, two guys I love, and they should be shooting the damn ball. And I'm looking at things numbers-wise, and I don't see anything egregious. Jason Tatum is averaging, what is it, about 24 shots a game. Jalen's at 20, okay? And then you got a couple of cats, that's averaging 11 and 12 and shooting at Horford and guys like that. But what I'm saying to you is this. I've heard people throughout the years have complaints about those two. I don't, you don't, but we've heard things internally and we wondered whether or not Brad Stevens was going to handle it. does it not strike you, or should it not strike us as a little bit odd that Marcus Smart, who's been their teammate for years, would suddenly do something he's never really done? And that's come out and called them out like that. That's the only thing that has my antennas up. That's not something he does. So why would he do it now? That, to me, is the big question. Go ahead, Swaggle.
Well, here's what I'll say, because I'm in line with you. I got to disagree with my brother Perk on this one, S.A. And me and Perk actually on our podcast talked yesterday about Udonis Haslem. When he say something, it's a different vibe. And Marcus Smart is really the heartbeat to me of the Celtics. When you start thinking about just grimy and him carrying on actually what y'all had going in Boston, Perk. So to Stephen A's point, Marcus Smart knows the game. I'm talking about the game and what you speak after a game, the things that you say. That was a pointed statement that he was making, and I think it's in order to push Jason Tatum and obviously move Jaylen Brown into being better basketball players. I don't think this is about ball hogging. I think this is about how can the Boston Celtics be a better basketball team. Now, it could be misconstrued from those guys. They could take it personal. They could think that it's a shot from Marcus Smart personally at them as basketball players. I got the tone of, hey, y'all, we way better than what we should be right now. I mean, we way better than what we showing to be. And this is a part that we going to have to get better at in order to be a better basketball team.
Let's leave it right there so I can be a good hype woman. So we've got Swagoo and Perk, the new podcast, fresh episodes every Tuesday. My guys, I love it. I love that you guys have joined forces. Wait, I'm not done. Okay. Then we've got NBA Today at 3 Eastern. Big Perk will be on that. Then NFL Live, 4 Eastern. And then you're going to be on NBA Countdown tomorrow.
Let's go.
Let me say this to you. Can I say something real quick? Swagoo and Perk, I love them having a podcast together. It's must listen to, it's must see. But I got a problem with the name. Swagoo and Perk, everybody know who y'all are. How about Huff and Puff? How about Huff and Puff?